Hey, well, it's Huck, and I have to apologize. I know it's been quite a while since I've posted a video. As you can tell, my health hasn't been, well, I'll give you the quick lowdown here. It's been about almost 2 weeks now since I was so experiencing such difficulties with my COPD. I mean, I really had an exacerbation. First really bad one I've had in well over a year, and it I think it was last Saturday, well, a week ago last Saturday. I took a little heavier dosage of prednisone and picked up my friend to come over and watch a football game, and by the end of that day and the time I took him home that night, we were supposed to hook up the next day to watch I think it was a Browns-Steelers game on Sunday, and I was in, I really debated most of the day whether or not to check myself into ER. And I was having real severe tightness in my chest. I was having, every time I would get up and walk to the next room, my oxygen level would drop to the low 80s. I knew I was in some, trouble. At any rate, so for really Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I have always on hand an antibiotic and heavier doses of prednisone to take, which is more or less what they would do for me in the hospital. I have 2 different medications to take with my nebulizer to help me loosen up the mucus in my chest or whatever. And all of that, through all of those days, by Wednesday, I actually felt no better than when I was having, such a terrible time Sunday. And again, so as of last Wednesday, I was again contemplating whether or not maybe I should be in the hospital. So at that point, I called my doctor. My specialist wanted me to come in, and I was too sick to drive, the almost a half hour to see her. My family doctor, who lives much closer right here in town, went ahead and prescribed me a little heavier dosage of prednisone, which I was able to get down to the pharmacy here in town, pick that up. So basically, since a week ago, Thursday, so it's been almost a week now, I have been taking much heavier doses of prednisone, and started on a new antibiotic, a little stronger one. And the difference is remarkable. I feel much better. Most of the time I'm able to go without my oxygen, but that changes when I do anything, require much effort, including talking a lot. So that's why I'm wearing the oxygen right now. At any rate, I am bouncing back. I have been able to get out. I did some grocery shopping today. I was able to go down and pay my house payment and, pay some bills. And so it seems it's been a good year, almost a year and a half, since I've had a serious setback like this. And every time I have them now, while they are less frequent, they are a real pain to try to bounce back from. And to be quite honest, I'm not sure that I quite bounced back to 100% of where I was before. One of the things I'm eager to start right away here, probably by next week or so before Christmas, is I want to start up some more the exercise sessions, the pulmonary rehabilitation services. I just found out that the place that I have been going to most recently, about 6 months ago, they are no longer accepting people with my insurance. Apparently there has been some kind of a problem getting paid in a timely manner or something. I'm not sure. So I'm going to have to be I'm looking into getting those services now at a different location. This time I think as part of one of the local hospitals here. So anyway, so that's what's been going on. That's one of the reasons why I've posted, well, I haven't posted, but I've recorded, I think, 3 videos in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And, after I recorded them, I looked at them and I thought, I can't post this. So, I mean, I just was not in very good shape. And anyway, I am on the road back to recovery. It's been tough. Part of what's really been tough through all of this is it's during the same period of time, however, that I've gotten some very bad news about my dog. For those of you who've not seen her before, this is Gigi. Hey, Gigi. Hey. Gigi, for, months now has been coughing a little bit, like clearing her chest a little bit. And I think I was told about 6 or 8 months ago that she had congestive heart failure. Well, it got much, much worse here just a few weeks ago, and I had to take her in. Well, I was feeling terrible, and it was all I could do to get her in to the office. The vets, she's kind of in the last throes of it, and so they're giving her medication, and it's not, well, it has helped. She's taken 3 different medications, 2 of them twice a day, and one is some kind of diuretic that helps her get rid of some of the fluid, and then, I don't know, there's something that helps her heart a little bit, but the net result is that the illness leaves her fluid filling up with the lungs, and she's had a difficult time clearing her throat and being able to just breathe at times. She can't do any of the activities. She can't play anymore. She can't run anymore. It had gotten to the point where she was coughing and really choking almost nonstop, keeping me up all night and trying to comfort her and stuff. But really horrible to have to endure, I'm sure. So the medication has helped quite a bit, but realistically, I guess the long-term prospects are not good. She's probably not going to be with us, a whole lot longer here. So it's a matter of, I don't know, weeks or maybe months if we're lucky. In the meantime, I'm paying about $100 a month now for her medicine, but it has helped quite a bit. So that's a good thing. At any rate, as far as the impeachment thing, I've been meaning to do a video just entirely devoted to that, and I promise I'm going to do that now that the House is, as I speak, they're having a hearing whereupon the completion of which this late night hearing tonight, well, at least it's extending late into the evening. I imagine that the committee is going to release these 2 articles of impeachment to the full House for vote, and that will be voted on, I'm sure, before the end of the week here, maybe as early as tomorrow or Thursday. There's a lot of debate going on, I'm sure, especially among people in favor of the impeachment, which certainly includes me, of whether or not maybe, they should have pursued more charges, more articles of impeachment, including the entire Mueller report, both parts. The fact that President Trump welcomed and implemented and didn't report all of the help he was receiving from the Russians, and the fact that the obvious obstruction of justice in trying to counter the Mueller investigation. So none of that is covered under the articles of impeachment, but they are getting him for obstruction of Congress, and of course for the Ukrainian scandal itself, the abuse of power at the heart of it, and and so, like I say, there's been some debate on whether or not the Democrats maybe should have taken a slower tack. And for instance, there are a number of witnesses who, on the one hand, Republicans are attacking Democrats, saying that all of these witnesses were not even, brought forward. Well, of course, the Trump administration, that's part of the obstruction charges that the Trump administration has basically tried to prevent all of these witnesses from, whether it be Mulvaney, whether it be Pompeo, whether it be Bolton, whether it be, any of the people behind the scenes here that work within the White House or in other ways were connected to the, the scandal in some way, that had, firsthand knowledge of exactly, what steps were being taken to extort the Ukrainian government, in this scandal. Well, at any rate, another debating point I think could be made that, well, why, with the powers that Congress has, didn't the House of Representatives, the Democrats in power in the House, hold any of these folks in contempt? When the Secretary of State or the White House, Mulvaney's office, refused to turn over documents or refused to come in and testify when subpoenaed, why not hold them in contempt? Why not? I mean, the White House has the power to fine them, has the power to put them in jail, so to speak, incarcerate them. I know one of the comparisons that have been brought up is during the Clinton impeachment effort. Republicans at that time were going after Clinton tooth and nail, and one of the witnesses that they wanted to testify was, I think her name was it McDougal? Karen McDougal? I can't remember her first name. McDougal. Susan McDougal, I think, was her name. In this whole, episode, she played a key role, and she refused to testify, and she refused to come in and talk to the investigators or to Congress. And so they, in that case, the Republicans held her in contempt and had her jailed for, I think, 18 months. And so a lot of people are saying, Democrats, why are you taking such a soft stance on this? Why don't you, and I'll be honest with you, there is a big part of me that kind of agrees with that sort of sentiment, that on the one hand, we have got a clear and present danger in the White House. There's no question about it. One of the reasons they claim, and I agree, that they are pursuing this on a fast track is because, unlike Nixon in 72, 74, whatever, unlike, Clinton, unlike most impeachment cases, this is not a situation where there was an incident, it's over with now, and now we've got to deal with that incident. In this case, it's an ongoing situation where not only has the president shown no remorse for what he's done, not only has he denied that what he's done is wrong, he's continuing to do it. I mean, he's continuing to go after the Ukrainian government to do his bidding here, as if none of this is even happening. And so he in an ongoing way, he's trying to affect the upcoming election through abusing his power and all the resources at his disposal. Not only that, there's a whole lot of people that are involved in this thing, obviously, from his Secretary of State, Pompeo, to his Office of Management and Budget and Chief of Staff, Nick Mulvaney, to, obviously he's got a whole cabal of, of little worker ants in Congress and in the Senate doing his bidding, like Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan and others. And so, and we haven't even started with Richard Barr, William Barr, the Attorney General, who is a whole nother impeachment waiting to happen, or should be waiting to happen. At any rate, so there's a big part of me that feels like, yeah, we should be going after all of these son of a bitches. But the truth is, I think in part the Democrats don't want to be held up in the in the constant delaying tactics, and this will push the whole issue and the whole impeachment proceedings, well into the end of next year, maybe even past the election by the way some of our courts work. And so I think they thought, they may not be successful in removing him from office, but they will accomplish several things by doing this. One, they will, bring it to attention to the American public of what's been going on. So at least they'll have better notice of what's going on and what Trump and his campaign have been doing. Two, they will, force the Republicans' hand to go on the record and defend what this guy is doing, and even have to vote on it. So, and that is something that can be used against them, in the future, including in the 2020 election, and throughout the campaign. So, I don't know, like I say, there's an honest debate. I think, when I think of it, I think of all of the things that, and again, this goes well beyond policy. My feeling is that, he could be impeached and should be impeached on any number of fronts, all of which, have not even been discussed yet. The fact that they're still, caging asylum-seeking, children and families on the border is, to my mind, the fact that, what has there been, like, how many folks have died incarcerated? They're denying, these folks, the most basic medical attention. I think it was just today or yesterday that they arrested a bunch of, doctors that were down there trying to give the kids flu shots and stuff. I mean, this is just, it's so outrageous that this is going on in America. And by the way, if you haven't done so yet, you make sure you write your congressman and your senator, Republican and Democrat, and let them know that Stephen Miller, this white supremacist architect of Trump's immigration policies, has got to go. Got to go. And kudos to to Senator Kamala Harris, who recently just dropped out of the presidential race, and Chris Coons and other Democrats in the Senate who have picked up, the banner to have him removed. I know Congresswoman Alexandria Cortez-Ortega, was calling for this some time ago, and it's good to see some of the more establishment Democrats in the Senate now picking up that cause. Way overdue. The fact that this guy is still, it's hard for me. It boggles my mind that we've got a man like this, and people surrounding him like this in the White House, and it boggles my mind that this is the hill that virtually every elected Republican wants to die on his sword defending. Unbelievable. I'm still kind of hoping against, all hope, against all odds, that somehow this is a trick by Republicans. That they're so worried about this guy, what he might do, and how out of control he is, that even they can see, the clear and present danger he presents to the Republic. Not the least of which is his, insidious close ties to Russia, to his anti-NATO, anti-Western Europe sentiments, and his gravitation towards, authoritarian dictators. Clearly, it's odd that we've got people who have spent their entire careers in the Republican Party, opposed to some of these authoritarian regimes, and yet now are making arguments defending Trump. Like I say, against all odds, it makes me wonder whether or not the whole strategy here is to get this, is to pretend that they're on Trump's side until they can actually get a chance to vote, and then oust the son of a bitch. But I'm afraid that that's a fantasy world, and maybe a saner one than the one we live in. Anyway, I've gone on for over 20 minutes. I wanted to catch you up. I am so sorry that I haven't posted something sooner. I meant to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. No one is more thankful than me for all of the help that I've received. I got some really good financial news here recently. I had to go out and buy a new mobility scooter. The one that I had just was not functioning anymore. It kept breaking down. You couldn't ride it, 10 feet, and it'd conk out. And finally, I broke down, and I had been looking for some time. I finally bought one, and thanks to some help that I've been receiving, that was made possible for me to be able to get one that actually works. It's a little bigger. It's a little heavier than the one I had. It's got 4 wheels instead of 3. It's in the trunk of my car, though. It's a little heavier, like the other one I had, it comes apart. And there's only one way to kind of do it. It's like one of those Tetris puzzles. There's only one way that it kind of fits in my trunk, and it's not easy. But the battery pack of this thing alone weighs like 29 pounds, and the heaviest piece, when you take it all apart, weighs about 51 pounds. So it's a bit for me to deal with, but I, like I said, it works beautifully, and it has like a 12-mile range. I'll never use that. Goes up to like, I guess, 5 mile an hour. But I like it because, this is one that you can ride like on grass, fairly easily. It's real stable. It's got 2 places to store things, so I can put my oxygen down underneath the seat. And it's got a little basket in front. I could take it, to the store or the mall. I've gotten to the point where I can't walk very far. About a year ago, I could walk maybe a quarter mile before if I walked slowly. Now, there's just no way I could do that. And so in order to do some of the things I need to do, or want to do, it's just, I'm on my own most of the time. It's not like I have somebody that can push me around in a wheelchair, and I don't want that anyway. So this is the next best thing. And at any rate, so I'm very thankful that I've been able to pay all my bills, get all my medicine. I'm on, I paid off another bill here this week. I'm down to I think I owe money on 3 credit cards. All my hospital bills are now paid. All my ambulance bills are now paid. I still have a tax thing that I have to straighten out with the IRS, and that's mainly because when they forgave me my student loans, which finally went through, I've been on like a 3-year thing where they monitor my income or something, and I don't know. They said after 3 years that I'd be clear and free, and they would forgive me, the student loan, that amount that I still owed. And unfortunately, that amount that they forgave, like $12,000 or whatever the heck it was, is shown as the end of the year as income. And so I have to pay taxes on it as if it was income. So while they forgive you the student loan debt, you have to pay taxes on it as if it was income. So I'm still, I thought I would have to do that earlier, but apparently I had to wait until, like I say, it was declared kind of, the case was kind of completed, and now it is. So I guess as of April, I'll find out when I go to figure out I'll probably have to go to somebody to figure this out for me, help me with this. But that's something, and of course I'm still paying on my, I took loans out on my life insurance, and so I still owe, a little over $2,000 to get that paid up again. I've been paying, payments like 3 or 4 times a year. They send me a statement that this is the interest I owe, and I always pay, like double whatever the interest payment is. I pay like double it or whatever. But now that I'm, paid off some other things, I can concentrate more fully on that, and I can concentrate, I hope, more fully on the few credit cards that I still have. So, I am so thankful because, of course, as you know, without the help that I've been getting, frankly, I couldn't afford my medicine. I wouldn't have, after I got done paying my bills, I think I've said this before, I'd have, approximately about $100 to buy gas, buy my medicine, buy food. It's not a pretty picture. So, not only do I have all of those things, but I've been making real progress on, all of the bills. And so, like I said, Thanksgiving is a very big deal for me because there could be probably no one more thankful for the for the kindness and generosity of that's been bestowed upon them than me. So on that note, I just want to say I'm looking forward to that now the upcoming holidays, and I will be certain to post something here in the next week, hopefully without this. And in the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.